Ramachandra mama bandhu, Ramachandra jaya sindhu, Ramachandra mama bandhu, Ramachandra jaya sindhu, Ramachandra raghuveera, Ramachandra Veera, Veera, Raghurama Karnama, Veera, Veera, Rama Karnama, Raghunatha Jagannatha, Namah Sindhu, Raghunatha Jagannatha, Raghuveera, Raghuveera, Ramachandra Raghuveera, Ramachandra Raghuveera, Ramachandra Raghuveera. Seva Nidhi Srishti Sthiti Laya Swarupa Tumho Tumho Srishti Sthiti Laya Swarupa Tumho Tumho Our Guru Deva Vaishnavito Tumho Tumho Jagatata, Our Guru Deva Vaishnavito Tumho Jagatata, Matmata Dinabandhu Tumho Anatmata Dinabandhu Tumho Anandrupa Sharan Samrakshaka Atma Jnana Pradata Ajnanamashaka Sharan Samrakshaka Atma Jnana Pradata Our Guru Deva Vaishnavito Tumho Jagatata Tumho Jagatata Our Guru Deva Vaishnavito Tumho Jagatata Tumho Jagatata
Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti. Together we chant Bhaj Govindam verses 10 to 20. Bhaj Govindam chanting verses 10 to 20. Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam, Govindam, Bhaj Mudhamate. Samprapte sannihite kale nahi nahi rakshati dukrun karane. Vayasi gate kaha kama vikaraha shushke nire kaha kasaraha क्षीणे वित्ते कः परिवारो ज्ञाते तत्त्वे कः संसारः मा कुरु धन जन यौवन गर्वं हरति निमेषात् काल सर्वम् मायामयमिदमखिलं बोद्ध्वा ब्रह्मपदं त्वं प्रविश विदित्वा दिनयामिन्यौ सायं प्रातः शिशिरवसन्तौ पुनरायातः कालः क्रीडति गच्छत्यायुः तदपि न मुञ्चत्याशायुः काते कान्ता धनगतचिन्ता वातुल किं तव नास्ति नियन्ता त्रिजगति सज्जन संगतिरेका भवति भवार्णव तरणे नौका जटिलो मुण्डीलुञ्चितकेशः काषायाम्बर बहुकृतवेषः पश्यन्नपि च न पश्यति मूढो हृदरनिमित्तं बहुकृतवेषः अङ्गं गलितं फलितं मुण्डं दशनविहीनं जातं तुण्डम् वृद्धो याति गृहीत्वा दण्डं तदपि न मुञ्चत्याशापिण्डम् अग्रेव निः पृष्ठे भानुः रात्रौ चुबुकसमर्पित जानुः करतलभिक्षस्तरुतलवास तदपि न मुञ्चत्याशापाशः कुरुते गंगा सागर गमनं व्रतपरिपालन अथवा दानम् ज्ञानविहीन सर्वमतेन मुक्तिं न भजति जन्मशतेन सुरमन्दिरतरुमूलनिवासः शय्याभूतल मजिनं वासः सर्वपरिग्रह भोगत्याग कस्य सुखं न करोति विरागः योगरतो वा भोगरतो वा संगरतो वा संगविहीनः यस्य ब्रह्मणि रमते चेत्तं नन्दति नन्दति नन्दत्येव भगवद्गीता किञ्चिदधीता गङ्गा जललव कणिका पीता सकृदपि येन मुरारिसमार्च क्रियते तस्य यमेन न चर्चा भज गोविन्दं गोविन्दं भज मूढमते सम्प्राप्ते सन्निहिते काले नहि रक्षति दुष्कृन्करणे. We've been studying the topic how to gain wisdom. So at this moment the entire world is completely, we covered the idea of they are following the binding principles of do's and don'ts, dogmas and doctrines, fanatic ideas. There is no real knowledge and real wisdom. That's what we studied in the previous class. So what is the needed at this moment for the entire world is the spiritual education. This spiritual education requires far more time and effort. So for ordinary graduation, you take 25 years to complete a graduate of worldly subject. To get the knowledge of the particular MBBS or engineering or something, you just get into a general life to make a living. You need minimum 25 years of study. The spiritual education far more time and effort because it changes your personality, changes your way of thinking, changes your body, changes your mind, and changes your intellect. Therefore, you need far more time, effort, and endurance, which is patience. We have to have a lot of forbearance and patience. That explains why most of the people are disinclined to spiritual education because it demands more time and more effort. We covered last class. So to go to the deeper import of the life, higher values of living needs more time and effort and dedication and patience. So most people unwilling to pay this price for investigating the truth and would rather choose the easy way out by false existence, merely following the predecessors. So this is not the education for the human being. Human being ought not to follow the herd instinct, but that does not, people are following the herd instinct. Consequently, the mass of humanity remains unspiritual. Spiritual education has been completely obliterated and are harassed. Therefore, today, entire humanity is harassed by trials and tribulations of the external world. The world is tormenting, world is causing stress. People are getting crushed by the world because of lack of these higher values, lack of education, lack of inner development. Just as a child, we also took the example, a child touches a hot plate and screams because it has no knowledge of the fire and heat. The moment you educate the child about the fire, acquaint with the fire, knowledge of the fire, it will never touch the fire again. So does humanity need what today is the knowledge of life and living? Knowledge of life, that is what today human being needs. The fundamental values, the fundamental principles that govern life and living, the spiritual laws that govern, that control human beings and their lives and their relationship with the world. So you need to understand the human being, you need to understand the world and their mutual interaction, so that you know the art of living, the technique of life and living. Then your life will be enriched with peace and prosperity and happiness. There is no stress and strain. The spiritual knowledge alone remove the stress and strain, worries and anxieties. Today, humanity is suffering. There is no other remedy. There is no other solution for the human being suffering except the knowledge of life and living, which is Vedanta solution. Hardly anybody understands. Spiritual knowledge would remove this stress and strain and lead humanity towards the permanent peace and bliss and enduring happiness. There is no other remedy. But what is the basic requisite for the education of this spiritual knowledge? You must recognize awareness of your own ignorance. Today, the problem with human being is that they know everything. They are brilliantly thinking that the fat ego they have got, I know and I am right. The two problems human beings suffering from, I know, I am right. These are the two problems human beings suffering from. Therefore, there is no realistic growth, real redemption of the human being. So, first prerequisite, essential requisite for acquiring knowledge is awareness of your own ignorance, especially ignorance of your spiritual dimension. The self within you, you are totally ignorant. You must become conscious of your ignorance concerning the spiritual aspect of your life. Without being conscious of your limitation, you have little chance of learning, little chance of educating yourself, because your shutters are down. Because the moment you say, I know, I am right, there is nothing to learn, nothing to know. Your shutters of learning closed. Therefore, the first fundamental obligatory duty of human being is to be conscious of your ignorance and ready to receive the knowledge. So, but the people all over the world believe that they know they have the knowledge already. I know already. I have studied Bhagavad Gita. I have studied in my childhood. I studied Ramayana. I studied Mahabharata. I know everything. This is the very, very misconcept and misunderstanding of the current human beings. So, therefore, the Josh Billings, the great poet philosopher, drives home this truth, is that the trouble with most people, most folks, is not their knowing, but it is not their ignorance, but their knowing so many things which ain't so. So the trouble with most folks is not so much their ignorance. If you are ignorant, it is well and good. You are ready to gain knowledge because you are aware of your ignorance. But the current state of human being is they are ignorant and they believe that they know. It is most deadly condition. This is the thing current human being suffering from. The trouble with most folks is not so much their ignorance as their knowing so many things which ain't so. This is the Josh Billings saying. It is a futile exercise, useless exercise should try to instill the knowledge into a person who firmly believes he knows it all. Therefore, if you wish to acquire knowledge, if you wish to grow spiritually, if you wish to gain peace and bliss and remove the suffering, you must keep your shutters of learning wide open. Recognize your areas of your ignorance. Understand your areas of your ignorance. Constantly you are supposed to be conscious of your areas of ignorance and be ever ready to receive more and more knowledge. Be ready to receive more and more knowledge. Your pursuit of knowledge, remember, your pursuit of gaining knowledge ends, completes, closes only when you reach the spiritual enlightenment. Until then, you are a student, you are a spiritual seeker, you are a spiritual aspirant, you are no more more than that. That is the condition of your current state. If your shutters are wide open, you are ever ready to receive the knowledge. Then the way to gain the knowledge, okay, I am ignorant of spiritual knowledge. Then how to gain this spiritual knowledge? Here is the great opportunity to understand the acquisition, the collecting, the acquisition, the gathering of knowledge is not mere cramming of information, collecting information and stuffing your brain with information. It is not filling your mind with memory, information, and from the external sources. You are listening to many masters or books or internet or other sources of newspaper. You mere collecting information is not acquisition of knowledge. It is not that. It is just a part of that. Currently, what is the condition? People are reputed, people are known, are learned, people are given great eminence when they have acquainted with the thoughts of the and ideas of the others. If you copy properly others' thoughts and ideas, you've been earning good name in this world. That is what the world understands. Equipped with the knowledge contained in the textbooks, equipped with the knowledge contained in the textbooks, equipped with the knowledge contained in the textbooks. So, the knowledge contained in the textbooks and teachers, that is just only information hunting, hunters of information. You are called a information bank, just like a computer, not more than that. It is not going to convert, it is not going to give you wisdom. So you have to be very careful. Few realize, very few realize, means very rare people understand that true education springs from within oneself. It has to be drawn out of you. Already we covered a little bit. The educate, the word means edu and kate. Educate means to draw out, not to push in. So the Shakespeare never went to school. The Shakespeare, Herbert Spencer, we studied that. The basic concept of education today has been lost, and mere acceptance of others' ideas is the today condition. So gave out certain aspects. So what is that? The basic concept of education today has been lost, and education has come to mean mere acceptance of past thoughts and ideas as an unquestioning acceptance and obeisance, blind acceptance of authority. So and so person told, therefore it is correct. That's how the people are getting information. There is no understanding. So the mere, so more so with the regard to religious doctrines and dogmas. You go to temple and church and mosque, all the procedures just follow mechanically without understanding the meaning and purpose of what's going on. Especially in religious realms, all are stagnated. The religion has been reduced to fanatic ideas, fanatic beliefs, fiendish superstitions and mechanical rituals. Superstitions and beliefs and rituals. This is the current condition of religious studies religious places like temple, churches, mosques reduced to these three things. Now what is religion? Blind beliefs, mechanical rituals, superstitions. These are the three things rule the religion today. These are the parasitic practices. Parasitic practices means this makes you dependent. Parasite means that which is dependent on the other living being. These are the practices. Parasitic practices have led humanity to extreme fundamentalism, extreme terrorism, extreme fanaticism, rigidity. Therefore, there is a war, there is a bloodshed, there is a blind beliefs and people killing each other in the name of God, in the name of religion, in the name of beliefs. They are creating atrocities and havoc in the society because of lack of understanding of this fundamental knowledge. And the religious fundamentalists are destroying the world. Religious fanatics and fundamentalists destroying the entire world of people. The religious texts were no doubt products of revelations of realized souls. The Bhagavad Gita, the Upanishads, the Vedas are the great textbooks revealed by the great masters of the enlightened eminence. They are all God realized people who gave this knowledge, but the people have blindly accepted them. They are blindly following them. So and so master told, that's how it is right. Without questioning, accept them, without spending thought and reflection upon them. You have to spend your thought, your original thinking, independent thinking, even though the textbooks like Bhagavad Gita, Upanishad, you have to think on yourself and then try to reflect and understand and then practice them. Until then, it is not going to help you. It just becomes a blind faith or mechanical rituals. So, the blind are leading the blind today. Without spending thought and reflection upon them, few have an understanding of the subject. Few people only understand, means very, very rare people understand spiritual knowledge in its real essence. So, the blind are leading the blind. Everybody who is leaders, who are religious heads, are also blind and they are leading the common blind people. This has crippled the modern society. Modern society has been derailed, completely diverted from the pursuit of the truth because of this lack of proper understanding. Preceptors means teachers, and precepts are the principles of the past are taken more on trust. They are more taken on trusting rather than the knowledge and understanding. It is just a trust, it is just a belief rather than analysis, and knowledge and understanding has been killed. A child grows into a particular faith. Say a child is born and is growing in a particular faith. It could be a Christian or he become religious. If a child is born in a Hindu family, he becomes Hindu by default. And he calls himself, claims himself Hindu, without having thought or reflection or understanding. Why are you in that belief, in that faith? What is the actual purpose of, actual meaning, actual understanding of what are you believing? There is no knowledge at all before becoming an adult. And adults too have lost their power of reasoning. So even the child asks, why I have to follow Hindu. No. Your father is Hindu, mother is Hindu, grandfather is Hindu, you ought to be Hindu. So there is a lack of power of reasoning also prevalent in the condition of the today's society. There is hardly any study, reflection or research on the truths governing life. The fundamental principles, nobody studies them, understands them and researches them and applies into their to total stagnation in this area. The world faces total stagnation. The world is completely distorted, stagnated in the field of religion. Today, nobody knows what is religion, what is the spirituality, what is the human life's mission. Zero knowledge. The soul of religion has been slain. Soul of religion means the crux of religion has been killed, and people are hugging on to its carcass. People are hugging on to its carcass. Carcass means dead body. The people are hugging on to the outer layers, and the core has been the nucleus, the very center part of the religion has been completely obliterated, completely distorted, completely lost. This is the current state of affairs. So the great spiritual masters of the past no doubt gave out certain aspects of the truth. They went into Himalayas, they researched on the Vedantic truths in the Himalayas, and they gave out to the common man the particular specific small portion of that great truths. But no individual master could possibly cover the entire truth, whole truth in his lifetime. It is impossible to cover the entire truth by one person. Just as one scientist, however great, cannot present the entire subject of science. Science is like an amalgam of galaxy of scientists collected, put together. So one scientist can only possibly get one part of one aspect of the science. Similarly, the science is an amalgam of the knowledges contributed by numerous scientists, so it is with Vedanta. Vedanta is the ultimate philosophy laid down by the galaxy of sages and saints, several rishis, mahatmas, enlightened souls who were realized, who reached the godhood. Later on, what happened? The individual masters, individual enlightened masters, brought out several religions only to preserve and present the supreme truth. The great masters, few of them, they felt, the later on individuals, they brought out the several religions, so-called religions, only to preserve and present the supreme truth. That is the so-called religions prevalent today. So, like the husk does to the grain, the religion is like a husk, the outer layer, and the core of the religion is the truth, the supreme truth. The truth has to be discovered like a wrapper and a chocolate. The wrapper is the outer layer of the religion or philosophy, outer layer of the any belief system. The core is the enlightenment, the truth, the discovery of the Atman, the self, the spirit, actual reality. So, this is the purpose of every religion. It's like a husk does to the grain. But people all over the world have gathered the husk and discarded the grain. They collected the wrapper and discarded the chocolate inside. You must discard the chocolate wrapper, outside layer, and eat the chocolate. Instead, people are gathering the top layer of the chocolate, which is the covering, and throwing the chocolate essence. This is what happening today in the spiritual education, in the spiritual knowledge, and so-called religious pundits and religious religions. All religions boil down to three things: superstition, blind faith, superstitious beliefs, and mechanical rituals. Take away blind faith, mechanical rituals, and superstitious beliefs, there is no religion today. This is the current state of affairs. There is hardly any reasoning left in the world. There is no questioning, there is no reasoning to penetrate to the depths of this religion, to get to the truth, get to the Atman, the source of what is the purpose of this religion all about. To locate a person thinking rationally today, to locate a person thinking rationally, reasoning person is like finding a needle in the haystack. Finding a needle in the haystack. Hardly today anybody thinks. Everybody following a blind faith. Why are you following anything? I believe somewhere. Why are you believing? Believing Jesus or Muslim or Christianity. My parents or somebody told I will be taken care of. So everything boils down to this blind faith, mechanical rituals, superstitions. You go to the so and so God, your blind person becomes eyes will come, your legs will be given, new legs will come. Some kind of a mad mechanical superstitions. Something will happen to something that unscientific, illogical, unreasonable superstitions. These are the worst scenario of a human being. It is below the dignity and prestige of a human being. Very, very sad state of affairs of the today's. Therefore, to look at a person thinking rationally is finding a needle in the haystack. There is hardly any thinking left in the world. The people need to go beyond the husk and get to the grain. Beyond this blind faith and superstitious belief and mechanical ritual and go to the essence of why are you doing, what are you doing. Question everything and get to the truth. That is the dignity and prestige of a human being. Approach the truths of life with reason and judgment, with analysis, not challenging, not attacking, not egoistic notion, not overtaking the other's thoughts and try to condemn and criticize. This is not the idea. To know the truth, why are you doing? There is a purpose, there is a meaning, there is a clarity that should be understood. That's what got missing today. The sages and saints gained the knowledge. All the great masters, all the great sages and saints in this land of India gone to the truth by the same process of inquiry, investigation of the truth. They got the truth. Those people who don't want to research, don't want to think, they are below the dignity and prestige of a human being. Forget about, because you have been provided an intellect. No other creature got this great opportunity, great equipment called intellect. That intellect has been completely shelved, completely neglected to a point of fault. So no application of intellect at all in every aspect of life. Even in this scenario of like Corona, people are mechanically living and the cases are rising without having any clue why they are going, what for they are going all out without having direction, dimension. It's just whims and fancies, no thinking at all. This is the current state of affairs. That's what the great masters are telling. Every great master gained this knowledge, gained this spiritual education, gained these truths of values of life only by their own effort. They did not copy, they did not get from external agencies by copying or by mechanical following. They put the effort, they reflected, they contemplated, they got the knowledge. Through reflection, through contemplation and meditation, you have to follow this analysis, thinking, reflection and study and contemplate and meditate to get to the truth. This is the only way. There is no other shortcut to get to the truth. They do not claim any supernatural power descending upon them. All the sages and saints, any true sage or saint, he doesn't rely on miracles, so-called superstitions, some kind of unconnected, illogical, unscientific things, because they are the people of great values of ground reality. So they are practical, they are clear-cut in their approach in life, they are pragmatic. They do not claim any supernatural power. There is nothing, nobody else shaping their ends. They have to shape, they have to practice by themselves to gain this wisdom. That's what the great sages have done in the Himalayas in the past. So they gained that enlightenment by their own efforts. They made it very clear that it is the prerogative of every human being to discover the Supreme Self, the Atman. You are aware of the body, you are aware of the mind, manas, feeling, you are aware of the intellect, thinking, but you are not aware of the Supreme Self. Finding out that self is the dignity and prestige of human being. Every master did that in the past. The power that they possessed, the same power what the sages and saints had got in the past, same power also you all have. Every human being is a birthday gift. He got this to get to this truth and get to this reality of discovery of Supreme Self. The power that they possess resides in you as well. If they had derived the spiritual energy from the original source within themselves, you can do the same thing. You can also get to that same reality, same knowledge within you. Discover the self within you. It is the birthright of every human being. You must educate yourself by yourself. The original truths of life. You have to be educated on the original truths of life. Study them carefully. Take your time. Sit down with the Vedantic truths. Think on them. Am I this body? Am I this personality? Am I this mind? Am I this intellect? What type of thoughts I am entertaining? What type of desires I am having? What type of feelings? What type of actions I am doing? This must be constantly questioned and go into the deeper and deeper analysis. Study the Vedantic truths carefully. Analyze them logically. You must study systematically, scientifically. Not like picking the books like a market. It is not like spiritual education is not like a post-retired pastime. It is a full-time awareness of the truth. So how you study engineering, how you study in MBBS, you must have the same zeal, same enthusiasm, same system, same process. You have to learn these spiritual truths step by step. You can't pick up haphazardly and get to be spiritual. It's not possible. Once you gain the knowledge properly, analyze them logically, experiment them in your own life. You have to test every truth in your life, in your personal life. Then only the results will be experienced and you will be able to grow spiritually. It is not just mechanical, theoretical. It is a practical wisdom. Once you practice them in your life, then when it works, accept those which are proved themselves within your life. If you are personally experienced the proof of the law functioning, then you take it, you accept it and you live that life. Then the knowledge sinks into you. Knowledge soaks into you. Knowledge gets absorbed into you and then you live that life. The knowledge becomes your own. Makes you spiritually wise. Then only you become spiritual. It is 0 to 100. The more you assimilate every law, like a person becomes a graduate from first standard to graduate, every law has to be assimilated, digested and grow spiritually 0 to 100. That's how you progress spiritually. You become wise. Thereafter, those truths manifest in your life, in your thought, word and deed. You exhibit those thoughts, you express those words, you execute their actions in your day-to-day life. You will be automatically a spiritual person. You live a spiritual life, as it were. Actually, you are a human being, lost the cognition of spiritual education. Once you discover, you got back to your true nature or original life of spirituality. So, the Lord Buddha, long back, 2000 years back, 2500 years back, Lord Buddha has cautioned humanity how to gain this spiritual wisdom, how to gain this knowledge. He has been declared long 2500 years back. What is that he told to apply in our lives? If you apply these instructions in our life told by Lord Buddha, you will be able to grow spiritually. In this very lifetime, you could reach the enlightenment as well. So the important role of intellect and reason in human life told by Lord Buddha. First statement number 1, do not believe what you have heard. What you are heard means senses. Senses cannot be trustworthy. Believe them without questioning, without going to the depth of that. Do not believe what you have heard. Do not believe tradition. See, you hear anything and you believe the dumbest. So you just by hearsay, just by newspaper, just by TV, just by public something somewhere you see and you can't believe. You have to know the truth means you have to investigate. You have to verify. You have to examine, get to the truth. That is, do not believe what you heard. You cannot get the truth. Do not believe in tradition because it is handed down many generations. So there could be a generation to generation, there has been a tradition. You have to do X and Y and Z procedures. Mechanically they are following, blindly following, without understanding the purpose. Don't follow blindly, even though it is a traditional habits. Do not follow. You will be sometimes, you will be led astray from the truth. Third, do not believe in anything that has been spoken of many times. People believe once it is spoken many times, repeated times. It's like an advertisement. In advertisement in the TV or news channel, they keep on repeating. Kentucky chicken, KFC, KFC, KFC. Oh, therefore KFC is good for health. They will go to KFC. So people mechanically by heart by following the anything repeated many times and they think that is the truth. Just because a statement is repeated and you heard repeatedly need not necessarily conveys the truth. Third one. So first one is do not believe what has been heard. Second one, do not believe in tradition just because it is handed down many generations after generation. Third one, do not believe anything that has been spoken of many times, repeatedly. And fourth one, do not believe because the written statements come from the old sage. Because of the sage or saint uttered in a particular context, in a particular group, in a particular period of time, for a particular reason, need not be the truth. So the truth need not be, even though it is coming from the great sage, it need not be true. You have to verify. For example, I will give you example so that you will be able to understand. Today, many people believe that the statement once upon a time in a passing context, Jesus Christ or some religious belief, they said that all animals are for the pleasure or for the happiness of human being. Therefore, you can kill and eat any animal and enjoy. This is what they blindly believe. Even now in the religious places, they kill and eat animals. So they call themselves religious. There is no identification. There is no love and affection. They think that is spirituality because the great statements come by great sage, the great master. This is the blind belief without knowing the veracity, the truth behind it. Second one is do not believe in conjecture. Do not believe in conjecture. Conjecture means the imagination, assumption. You do not believe by blind assumptions. You cannot go by truth by assuming things. So you cannot assume, you cannot propose. You have to go to the root cause. So you people believe, okay, if after death I will be going to heaven or hell. On what basis? But people conjecture, people blindly believe that there is something called heaven or something called hell. Some people don't believe, some people believe. Both are in wrong direction because they have no knowledge, they have no understanding, they have no reasoning behind the very belief. Therefore, do not believe anything by conjecture. Next one, do not believe in authority. Any truth which is presented by authority, You do not believe just because authority. Authority is not the test for the truth. Second one, do not believe teachers. Just because a teacher is teaching, you don't have to blindly believe. And elders, do not believe. See, the Lord Buddha is removing all our concepts. Do not believe in authorities, do not believe in elders, do not believe in teachers. Then what you believe? The Buddha meant that you have to think, you have to verify, you have to examine their statements. It's not that you discard and reject and you drop them. You have to apply your power of reasoning and understand and apply in your life, and that ideas become translated into wisdom. So, what to be done? The Buddha concludes here. But after careful observation, you see how the Buddha is concluding. After careful observation, and it applies and analysis. So you have to have an observation and analysis, and when it agrees with reason, third step. When it agrees with reason, fourth step is it should benefit one and all. Then only accept it and live by it. This is the caution given by Lord Buddha. So after gaining the so many varieties of statements, do not believe in what you heard, do not believe in tradition, do not believe in statements repeated many times, do not believe in the statements given by the old sage, do not believe in the teachers, elders and authorities, do not believe in conjecture, but how to get to the truth. But after careful observation and analysis, and when it agrees with reason, and it should benefit one and all, then accept it. This is the acid test of every statement by anybody. In fact, you can listen to any statement, but you should apply this test. What is the test? Observation and analysis, and it should be agrees with reason. It should not be irrational, unreasonable, and it should be applicable, equal to everyone. It may be applicable to you only, not the others. That is not the truth. The truth must be accepted and followed and equal results to everyone. Then only it is the truth. Then that is the acid test. Lord Buddha at the age of 2500 years back told how to apply your reasoning, how to gain the truth, how to get to the self, how to get to the core of the reality, the enlightenment. This is the test you must put for every experience of every thought, every word, every movement of your life must go by this procedure laid down by the Lord Buddha, Swayam, the analysis. So you must by heart this. It is a great opportunity to learn and practice. So must spiritual knowledge to be taken in regulated dosages. No doubt spiritual knowledge is very important, but it should be taken in regulated dosages. You can't take every day. You have to gain the spiritual knowledge of the truth, but it should not be more, it should not be less. It should be exact quantity, like you take a medicine or you take a food. You have to take according to your capacity. So how much to study, how much to gain the knowledge, you have to have an assessment. So regulated dosages. You must have a proper dosage of spiritual knowledge every day. If not, the knowledge passes through you without producing desired result. Means you don't grow spiritually. You don't gain any benefit if you don't give the proper dosage. So you must know how much dosage you need. You could be well versed in spiritual, scriptural literature and not turn spiritual. You may have lot of knowledge, information, but you are spiritually not developed because you have not applied these laws of spiritual dosage needed for your growth. You must have a proper dosage, just like how much food you need, how much sleep you need. You have to have a proper dosage. How much exercise you need according to your personality. Similarly, you have to gain the spiritual knowledge also in regulated dosages. If not, there is no really spiritual growth. All the sacred information that you gather may not bring about a transformation in your personality. You may be information bank, you have knowledge and information, but there is no necessity, no possibility. If you don't apply the proper procedure and assimilate and digest, it will not bring about a transformation. A transformation with a change in your personality, a permanent change for better is not possible. That's what the possibility. So, spiritual books read or discourses heard. You may hear spiritual textbooks and you may hear lectures and discourses from the masters, make you perhaps a great scholar, a great teacher. You can attract people and give lectures for others, but it will not help you as a personality growth into a higher dimension of enlightenment. You cannot be able to achieve. Therefore, you may give religious discourses, yet remain far from being spiritual. Being spiritual, you may not be able to experience. This is the spiritual growth. How to measure spiritual growth in you? A spiritual growth is measured by the stability of the mind. This is the acid test. Are you growing spiritually or not? This is the test you must put yourself for every time you study the spiritual knowledge and putting effort. The spiritual knowledge and spiritual growth directly proportional to stability of the mind. The mind right now running after like a helter and skelter. Mind is disturbed, mind is agitated, mind is like a wind, terrible wind. It is going everywhere. Such a mind with real spiritual knowledge and spiritual dosage and spiritual transformation, what extent 0 to 100? You grow more and more stabler, more and more firm, strong. It's like a milk. Is going to give the example, like the milk curd turning into a thick curd. Milk is very good, but the milk has to be properly got into a procedure of the milk into a curd. The curd is stable, milk is liquid, keeps on flowing everywhere. So similarly, the spiritual knowledge is very useful to your life, but if you properly convert it into personal transformation, a digestion, a complete becoming onto a higher dimension of peace and bliss and stability you must achieve. That is the purpose. So, an unstable mind, perturbed in the fluctuations of the external world, lacks the elements of spirituality. Anything happens in the world, you will be fluctuating, oscillating, you will be tormented. You are not able to stand firm, then you are having no fundamentals of spirituality, no development at all. Spirituality is nothing but standing firm, standing tall, and able to face the stability of the mind, not carried away by the flood of the worldly fluctuations. Such is the purpose of, such is the growth. Spiritual growth is measured with the spiritual knowledge. If at all there is any spirituality left in you, this is the test, how much you are growing with the stability of the mind. Whereas the lack spirituality, such a mind like a milk, watery and easily flowing. Whereas the stable mind resembles a yogurt, means curd, thick and does not run at all. The process of preparing the curd out of milk is strikingly similar to making person spiritual. A normal person to spiritual person becomes stable, firm, strong. That is the change you must experience if you really got the spiritual knowledge and brought about transformation in you. How much your agitation reduced, how much your tensions reduced, how much your stress and strain reduced, how much your worries and anxieties reduced. That is the test. Are you growing peaceful, blissful, happy, happier, happiest? Keep growing your peace and stability. That is the test of spirituality. It has been the age-old tradition, the Indians to make yogurt in their homes. So spiritual knowledge and this curd making, the transformation in you and the milk becoming curd, both are similar. So if you understand this milk becoming curd, you have to apply the same example, take the knowledge of the spiritual Vedantic truths and put it into your mind, and then make your mind stable and stable. Then you are really developed in spiritual homes. To prepare yogurt, milk is first heated to boiling point. First one to heat milk. Every householder knows that how to make the milk into curd. They first boil the milk, and what is that after boiling point and left to cool it down to lukewarm temperature. They make it cool, and a small portion of yogurt, the curd left over for the purpose, is then mixed with the milk. The mixture is left overnight. By the next morning, the thin running milk into thick formed yogurt curd. In a similar process, what is that human being supposed to do for spiritual development, stability of the mind, and peace and bliss? The seeker, the spiritual student, the spiritual seeker initially goes through the challenges of life. The life is tossing you up and down. The experience of the world make you up and down, face the happiness, sorrow, joy, and pain and pleasure, heat and cold, honor and dishonor. You are experiencing the life. Later, he chooses a relatively peaceful place for spiritual practice. If you don't have a peaceful place, you can choose peaceful time in the morning, 4 to 6 a.m. And the chooses a relatively peaceful place for spiritual practice, growing spirituality. Not the heat of the marketplace, nor the cool heights of the mountain Himalayas. You don't have to run away to Himalayas for spiritual development. You don't have to be in the marketplace where there is a fully involved and attached. Both are not suitable for spiritual growth. You have to be in the middle path. You should be in the quiet place of early morning is the best suited, not the heat of the marketplace, cool heights of the mountain. That is indicated by bringing the milk of the heated milk into lukewarm temperature. The little curd yesterday represents the measured dosage of Vedantic truths you have to study every day morning. Take the 1 or 2 paragraphs of Vedanta treatise and study. Think on them originally, independently. That is the dosage, daily dosage of Vedanta for the mind. So knowledge left behind, this knowledge is got by the sages and saints. So you take the knowledge and think on them and reflect on them, contemplate on them in the mornings. That is the mixing the small portion of curd into the milk, lukewarm milk. That is added and stirred. The spiritual truths taken in have to be reflected upon. The overnight period that the yogurt takes to set indicates that the seeker needs length of time for the knowledge to digest it. So once you think and reflect and contemplate upon the Vedantic truths, it takes little time to get into the system of digestion. Overnight you can't become spiritual. Overnight you can't become sacrificial. Overnight you can't become an angry man smiling. A selfish fellow unselfish. It is not possible. You have to take it slow and study the regulated dosages, and gradually it takes, that is the time taken for the mixing of the yogurt and leaving overnight. You have to leave the truths and work on yourself by practicing within you. So it takes a length of time for the knowledge to be digested. Adopt procedure, the individual emerges with the sound, stable mind. Once your clarity is developed, once you have understood the truths by thinking and digested the same ignorance, same past habits gradually dropped to good stable mind. The agitations, the disturbed mind gradually becomes stable and peaceful and strong mind. This is what happens by regulated dosage of your knowledge and practice. Adopting this procedure, individual emerges a sound, stable mind by Vedantic dosages and practice them, study them, and leave them to themselves for cool time of this thing. We should not rush into it. We should not struggle. We should not be overnight. You should not try to jump and do. People want to become overnight Jesus Christ. It's not possible. You have to understand where you are and gradually you grow step by step. A person who is obesity, how he will become six-pack? He will crash and he will collapse and he will die. Similarly, spiritual growth is also slow and steady. The disturbances to peace, gradually it will take, not overnight. So you have to be careful. Purvava Mahadavadanam, Adi Shankaracharya says, no doubt you will grow spiritual, but you should be careful with slow and steady. Slow and steady is most important than overnight you want to jump into. So the stability of the mind marks the spiritual evolution. Stability of the mind is the only measurement of your spiritual growth. Test yourself how much you are disturbed or how much you are peaceful. Every day, if you observe your mind, it tells about your spiritual growth and spiritual status. You don't have to answer to anybody. You don't have to be responsible to anybody. You are responsible to your life, to yourself. So you be truthful to yourself. The spiritual development is as much simple as that. Just being stable, calmer, and able to face any challenge in life. Thank you very much. We'll continue in the next class further from this topic. Same topic. Next portion we will cover in the next class. Thank you very much. Hari Om.